and other. How are you?
Hello. We are discussing A Calling, our short film that just came out not too long ago.
We are doing what is known in the film industry as a post-mortem. The reason we do this is so that in the future, when we make more things, we can improve. We can make them better and better. We're going to have this discussion on a couple different fronts. I don't know what your face is doing, but I think I like it.
Thanks.
So we're going to be talking about A Calling in 4 different categories: story, visuals, sound, and our overall feelings about working on the project. For each of those categories, we are going to talk about what we think we did well and what in the future we would do differently. Notes.
Could be better. CBB. The nice way of saying it's crap. Story. I thought the story was great. It was simple. It also, I think, pulled you in a decent amount because you're trying to figure out what's going on.
What I thought worked with the story was its simplicity. It's just this short little concept. It might not even really be a story. There's no character journey. It's just a strange thing that occurs. In that way, it's a bit like the Twilight Zone. We didn't overclutter it, didn't overcomplicate it.
I don't really know if I had anything that didn't work.
What we would do differently. Especially during a short film, it's difficult to develop characters or any kind of complex plot, but at the same time, you can leave little clues here and there as to who this kind of person is that will serve to enrich the experience. And I think we did none of that. And I think we should do that in the future. And especially when it's something meant to be a bit spooky or creepy or mysterious, you do want the audience relating to the main character and kind of putting themselves in their shoes. And to give them a bit more of a personality or relatability certainly helps with that. So in the future, I think I'll focus on adding a bit more of that characterization.
Visuals. We were filming sometimes at, I think mostly during overcast but still daytime. And then also had to bring the outdoors in and the indoor out, and considering that, I thought the lighting and everything worked really great and it was really fun. Definitely a big fan of some of the editing and the quick, sharp cuts to things. I thought that was a really good touch too.
Visually, I thought it was okay. I am not a lighter, I am not a cinematographer, I am not technical at all when it comes to filmmaking. What I am, however, is relatively technical when it comes to visual effects. So when it comes to things like pulling a green screen or getting some fun little particle stuff coming out of the closet, which I was able to do very simply without even doing any simulations, I can do that stuff very well, and I think it looked very good. Overall, I think the film looked nice in spite of my inadequacies.
Looking back on it, there are little things that I'm nitpicky about with prop and wardrobe. It'd be cool if I was wearing different clothing, pajamas still because it would make sense for the scene, but just different colors or not colors or something. And I wish I was using maybe Josh has a black phone, that would have been nice. I don't know. There were little tiny things like that. And then Josh is wearing hard socks when we see his feet. Just little things. And there's one scene where my shirt's not tucked in, and that bugs me because I pay attention to it now. You're welcome.
If I was working with someone who had a really nice camera and was good at lighting, had maybe some more effective lights, it would look much better. It certainly looks like a student film. It does not look like a professional film.
Sound. For me, what worked was, like I said, with visuals, editing. Editing was great because there were certain lines that originally we had, and we actually cut it because it's after I said it, it's it just seems like it was not necessary. Certain unexpected sound effects, like the dog. Perfect. The music was all done by Josh, and it was really experimental, and I know he had a great time doing it, and it shows, and it really felt like it fit with the feeling of the short at each stage.
Honestly, I think it worked pretty well. Most of it worked pretty well. I am startled. I'm unnerved while watching this short, and none of that is because of anything that's happening visually. I think the majority of the creep factor in the short comes right from the sound. How did I do it? Well, I mean, it's less of a soundtrack and more me hitting random objects. For the big thudding drum beat, I used an empty, cleaned out plastic ice cream tub. I have no instruments. I wanted to make a score, so I just collected a bunch of random junk we had around the house. For some of those like creepier noises, like I used a metal chopstick on the edge of a metal coffee tin and just like scraped that and then added like all kinds of weird effects in Audacity. And then I think I put a bunch of change in a tin can and shook it around, then slowed that down. And yeah, I just did a lot of weird stuff to get some spooky sounds and then kind of composed them so they built to almost like a heartbeat of a pulse, which crescendoed over the course of it. And I think it was really effective. I'm very proud of it. I didn't really think it was going to work out well, and I was concerned that the short wouldn't be spooky at all, but I think because of the sound, it is.
What didn't work for me was, I'm just picking at myself, is my voice. This was my first time doing basically any acting that's not voice, or even just when we have to be showy for our videos. I could have done better.
What I would do differently? I really kind of wanted to do some fun synth stuff with it, but I don't have a lot of time to learn new software right now, and I don't have access to any synthesizers in an analog sense. So in the future, I really want to do some John Carpenter stuff and get some synthy stuff going. Final category are overall feelings for how making a calling went. What do you think worked pretty well overall? Overall, I feel pretty good about how a calling turned out. I haven't really been able to say that with any of my previous short films. This one was just kind of uncomplicated. We just kind of sat down on a weekend and we're like, we have the plan, we've got the storyboards, we're just gonna shoot it with the two of us. Yeah, the whole process for me was pretty smooth, and in terms of the final result, I think it's relatively effective. Like, it's not a shock-a-minute horror short, but it does build a nice sense of unease and dread, and that's kind of what I was going for. And mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's our best short so far. It's difficult because it's also our first live action. I don't think that's why it was our best, but I don't know, because it was our first one, so I don't really have anything else to compare it to in that regard. It felt like it just worked well, like it flowed smoothly, and I know, especially in our other shorts, there's certain aspects of it that I can't really contribute too much because I don't really have that much of an understanding of like the creation process, but certain things you have a focus on and certain things you're also learning as you go too. This is one thing that both of us had a bit more strength just going right into it, which I think was really helpful and really awesome.
So what we would do differently overall, I mean, aside from the things I mentioned in the specific categories, I don't know how I'd approach this, but I think it's really hard for me to generate excitement or buzz for anyone who's not us to see it before it comes out. I don't really know how to get people hyped. I don't know. People don't seem to watch short films generally, so it's hard for me to know how to get people to look at the thing that we made. That's my big one, is like, how do I get people to watch it?
Yeah, marketing's hard.
And overall, this was my first time directing my wife as an actor. I've been reading a lot about directing actors and methods that you should and perhaps shouldn't use, and I think in the future, the more I get experience directing other people, the easier it's gonna be. There's always a difficulty when directing someone that you care deeply about outside of the film, where there's an additional set there where like, oh man, I really don't want to hurt their feelings, but at the same time, I want this to play a bit differently on camera. So there's a line you have to walk, I think, that I'm still figuring out as a director. So is that something I would do differently? No, but I do think that this is like part of an evolution in terms of growing as a filmmaker in that regard.
To piggyback off of that, I feel like that's my main thing is, what would I do differently / better over time? Hopefully acting. It's my first time doing it. I think it was okay.
Not a whole lot was demanded of you, to be honest. honest.
Which helps.
You just have to be vaguely confused and maybe a little surprised or scared. And you did it, I think.
Thank you.
My direction wasn't great. It was just basically what I just said, which, if you're an actor, you know that's not very helpful. As I said, learning process. So, well, if you haven't seen A Calling yet, why are you watching this video? How did you get so far into the video? Go watch A Calling.
I liked your little song.
Thanks, I wrote it myself. But if you haven't made it this far into the video, you've probably watched A Calling, and for that, we are greatly appreciative. Thank you so much for supporting us with your eyeballs. We're not making any money off this, we're doing this because we care. And we actually had a lot of fun making this.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Hope you had fun watching it.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, give us a like. If you didn't, don't. If you want to see some of the episodes we've made in the past, check out the playlist tab on our YouTube channel page.
It's also all organized on our website.
On that website, use the contact form to sign up for our free electronic monthly magazine.
It's packed with behind-the-scenes breakdowns, channel data, polls, and even discounts on our boutique.